Welcome to another Science Exploration CERT. Today we're going to explore about how does a pendulum clock works and its energy conversion. It's an absolutely amazing journey into physics, engineering, and the brilliant ways people managed to measure time long before electricity was even a thing. Let's get right into it.
So, have you ever stopped to wonder what actually makes a grandfather clock go tick-tock? In our modern world, we're surrounded by digital watches, smartphones, and computers. They all tell us the time using microscopic chips. But for hundreds of years, pure mechanical engineering was literally the only way to keep track of the day. These towering wooden machines, completely powered by gravity and simple physics, were actually the most accurate clocks in the whole world. They guided train schedules, ship navigations, and basically all of daily life. But how do they manage to keep such steady, perfect time, second by second, day after day, without ever needing a single battery? All right, Section 1, the main parts of the clock. Let's imagine opening up that wooden case and looking inside like a scientist checking out the pieces of a giant puzzle.
There are 5 vital organs inside this amazing machine that we're going to learn about today. First up, the pendulum. Second, the weights or a spring. Third, the gears. Fourth, the escapement. And fifth, the clock hands themselves. This basically sets up our whole whiteboard journey for today.
Moving on to storing energy in the clock. Every single machine needs a source of power to start its journey, right?
Hanging weights, pulled by gravity, or a wound spring unwinding, store mechanical energy. Since early inventors couldn't exactly plug these things into a wall outlet, they had to capture energy straight from nature. Imagine holding a heavy rock high in the air. Gravity wants to pull that rock straight down to the floor, right? That pulling force on the rock is basically stored energy. In a clock, heavy brass weights are wrapped around a drum. As gravity slowly pulls those weights downward, millimeter by millimeter, it creates a steady pulling force. Alternatively, if the clock uses a spring, it's kind of like winding up a toy car. That coiled metal desperately wants to unwind and snap back to its normal shape. Both of these ingenious methods store powerful mechanical energy, acting just like a silent, natural battery.
Next up, the gears start turning. Let's look closely at where all that stored mechanical energy travels next.
That stored energy turns a series of gears to move the second, minute, and hour hands. That stored pull basically pushes against a series of interlocking toothed wheels, our gears. Big gears connect to smaller gears, passing the energy along in a continuous chain. These spinning gears directly connect to the outside of the clock, slowly pushing the hands around the dial. But wait, we have a massive problem here. Without any control, if you just attached a heavy weight to a wheel and dropped it, that wheel would spin incredibly fast until the weight hit the floor. The stored energy would just dump out all at once. The gears would spin totally wildly, the hands would zoom in crazy circles, and your clock would wind down in a matter of seconds.
Which brings us to controlling the spinning gears. We clearly need a clever way to act like brakes for our runaway gears.
Enter the escapement. It's a special mechanism that locks the gears and releases them little by little, creating that famous tick-tock sound. To stop those gears from running away, inventors created this truly brilliant little piece. Think of the escapement as a strict little traffic cop standing right in the middle of the spinning gears. Instead of letting all the energy out at once, this traffic cop catches the teeth of the gear, completely stopping it. Then, it briefly steps out of the way, allowing the gear to move forward just one single tiny notch before catching it again. Stop, go, stop, go. This locking and releasing action parcels the energy out perfectly over days or even weeks. And the absolute most fun part? When the metal teeth of the escapement catch the metal teeth of the gears, it makes a very distinct rhythmic sound. Yep, that is exactly where the tick-tock sound of a clock comes from. No way, right?
Now for the star of the show, the swinging pendulum. Let's transition to the part of the clock you actually see swinging back and forth. The escapement pushes the pendulum slightly to swing left and right, and longer pendulums swing more slowly. But how does our little traffic cop, the escapement, know exactly when to let the gear move? Well, it's physically connected to the pendulum. As the pendulum swings left and right, it tilts the escapement, locking and unlocking the gears. Now you might be thinking, wouldn't friction and air resistance just slow the swinging pendulum down until it stops? Normally, yeah. To prevent this, every time the escapement lets a gear tooth slip by, it gives the pendulum a tiny, gentle push. Just enough energy to keep it swinging continuously. And here is the truly magical physics concept, a pendulum's period. A pendulum always takes the exact same amount of time to complete one swing, no matter how wide the swing is. The only thing that changes the speed is how long the pendulum is. A longer pendulum takes much more time to swing back and forth, which slows down the clock. A shorter pendulum swings faster.
Ultimately, Each regular swing allows gears to move a tiny amount, keeping hands steady and accurate. Because the pendulum swings at a perfectly even, unchangeable speed governed by the strict laws of physics, it acts as the ultimate master timekeeper. It forces the escapement to lock and release the gears at perfectly spaced intervals. Each steady back-and-forth swing allows the giant force of those weights to push the gears forward by one tiny exact fraction of a second. This delicate dance transforms the heavy, chaotic pull of gravity into perfectly accurate time.
Let's map this all out in the energy conversion flow. We are going to trace the entire amazing journey of energy from start to finish.
Here's our 4-step map. Step 1 is gravitational energy or spring energy. We gather potential energy from either gravity pulling down on heavy weights or a spring waiting to uncoil. Step 2 is mechanical energy in gears. That potential energy transfers directly into the turning gears. Step 3 is pendulum motion. The mechanical energy is carefully captured by the escapement and converted to keep the pendulum swinging smoothly through the air. And finally, step 4 is the controlled movement of clock hands. That perfectly regulated rhythm feeds back through the gears, moving the hands. It's a continuous chain reaction, from raw gravity to a precise measurement of a single second. Just brilliant.
Now, a quick pro tip: why pendulum clocks must stay still. This is an absolutely crucial rule for anyone who wants to keep one of these in their house. The golden rule is that clocks must stand upright and still. Shaking or tilting changes the timing and makes them inaccurate. Because the whole system relies entirely on the absolute precision of gravity pulling straight down on that pendulum, these clocks work best when standing completely upright on a level floor, perfectly still. If you shake, bump, or tilt the clock even slightly to one side, gravity pulls on the pendulum at a crooked angle. This messes up the arc of the swing, confuses our escapement traffic cop, breaks the rhythm of the tick-tock, and totally ruins the accuracy. They might be huge, but they are highly sensitive scientific instruments.
To sum it all up, a pendulum clock uses a swinging pendulum and escapement to control gears and move hands at a steady speed. It's just a fantastic reminder of how a deep understanding of simple physics can create machines that literally stand a test of time. If you find the video informative, please like the video. Thanks.